let's talk more about your food venture, though.
Yeah.
Like, we got David here endlessly. Tell us more about, like, how you started off in food trucks and food tents at the Saturday market. So we know about the salmon patties, the salmon burgers.
Yep.
What'd you do after that?
After salmon burgers, we started a food truck called Brio. It was actually my very first food truck. Do you remember that?
I remember it, but again, being the terrible friend that I am, I didn't ever make it over there to eat anything. Do you have like a bowl left in the freezer that maybe you could bring to us someday?
Yeah, right. Just preserved, like a McDonald's hamburger.
Yep.
We started this food truck. It was a concept based around healthy eating bowls. I visited what was it called? This place in Oregon, and the name of it's avoiding me, but essentially all their bowls were based. Cafe Yum is what it was called.
So you tried to rip them off.
We basically were trying to do an Alaskan version of Cafe Yum.
Yeah.
Everything was based around brown rice, but they included a ton of healthy ingredients, fresh tomatoes, avocado.
Yeah.
And then they had this signature thing called a yum sauce, which we created our own variety of.
What did you call it?
We called it the Brio
The yummy sauce?
Something like that. We had a catchy term for it.
Nice.
And
Doesn't
it was
sound that catchy,
based
but yeah.
around...
Yeah.
Keep going.
Wow, how catchy was that?
Not catchy
It
enough,
was
clearly.
called Not Oregon Yum Sauce.
Exactly.
We found out that healthy eating food trucks just weren't it.
No one
same.
wants a food truck for healthy eating. They want like greasy food.
When I was in California, I went to this food truck and I got I think they called it the Baconator or something, but what it was is instead of patties for buns, they used grilled cheese sandwiches. And so it was like 2 grilled cheese sandwiches, and then in between the grilled cheese sandwiches was double patty, bacon, the works.
So funny about that is the other night I was at home. My wife is in Seattle, so it's just me having fun by myself.
Enjoying life.
Sorry, honey. I was enjoying life, just watching some fun YouTube, and I got a wild hair and made up something like that. So it's like a patty melt. It's basically a grilled cheese with a hamburger in the middle.
Yeah.
So
that's what the kids are calling it these days.
Did that and had like double patties. Like we had some nice fresh like roast beef like from the deli. Put that in it and put a couple different types of cheeses and then buttered the ends and grilled cheesed it. So good. I could probably start a food truck with that.
I mean, I'd buy it.
Better.
It sounds a lot better than a Brio bowl.
Better than Cafe Yum.
And you're right. And here's what the natural evolution of that was. We realized, most people aren't going to go after these healthy food items.
Yeah.
If you're going to leave the house and check out a food truck, you want to try something wild.
Right.
Like a cheeseburger, grilled cheese, weird sandwich thing.
Yeah.
So what we found after that was there was actually more profit in building and selling the actual food trucks themselves and then coaching people to start their own businesses.
Got you.
Because everybody has a food truck idea. I'm sure anyone has
Mark's food truck idea, he just said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So what if I could go out to you and say, hey, here is an opportunity to start that business with everything you could possibly need. And for the next couple of years, I just started outfitting food trucks.
Got you.
And that's how we were able to buy our first house in Big Lake, actually.
So you con people into starting failing businesses and then...
Yeah.
Well, whether they succeeded or failed was up to them. I just
yeah.
gave them the
Tools.
You just gave them the food truck. I mean, it's a pretty good idea, though.
Yeah.
It was.
It'd be easier to just keep making food trucks than come up with ideas for food trucks. So
That's true.
that's good.
So Drew has recently started instructionals.
Oh,
Yes, I
yeah.
have.
The rabbit hole.
Drew also doesn't know who Joey Diaz is.
That's a problem.
Well, I do now.
Well, he does now.
Yeah.
Just some fat guy in a karate suit is who Joey Diaz is to him.
He was actually not wearing anything.
That was the wrong DVD David gave you. So what that was the Eddie Bravo half guard you said?
Yes, it was.
Nice. You start playing half guard?
Well, this was like lockdown specific early on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it changes. I haven't gone through the whole thing, but I'd really like to. I enjoy the concept of being able to control somebody so well. I just don't know if lockdown is considered dirty.
No, I don't think so.
No, though I hate being put in lockdown, but I have like really bad knees, so me trying to kind of force out a half guard, it just doesn't work. Like I have to back out of the position and loosen the half guard up, then to windshield wiper the foot over and do all this because like it like tears my kneecap apart.
Yeah, it's more annoying than anything. Like as an upper belt, when a white belt like grabs my leg in lockdown, I'm just like, here we go again.
You know who does a lot of lockdown? David Courtney.
Yeah, but it's my own fault for leaving my foot out there, so it's more just like
kind of. But I mean, it's a valid move, a legit move, and there's tons of stuff that you can do off of it.
Yeah.
There's some people that'll just hook it up and like use it to hold you and not do anything. But if you can really move them around, pull them up, bring them back down, get into like that deep half position with the lockdown, then it's a great position. There's like electric chairs and all that.
Yeah, it's great if your opponent gets chest to chest on you and you're screwed. I mean, even Galval tried to do it when he fought Gordon. Once Gordon got chest to chest on him, he tried to throw in the lockdown, create space, get your frames, get back inside, and then go back to like a knee shield or something like that. But as far as like removing my frames to get lockdown, I don't play it that way. But if somebody beats my shin shield, then I'll go to lockdown. So I think if you want to. You got to know a couple of things, from there, I think.
Yeah, I think you do too. Because, again, there's just people that will grab it and hold it. And then it's really just a kind of stalling position. But if you know how to use it, it's a great position. I don't ever use it just because, like I said, I'm afraid to get put in lockdown because, like I said, it rips my kneecap apart. So I don't like to do it either, personally, from the offensive side.
But as a way of controlling big guys, I could see that being a very valuable tool.
For sure.
I think I can use certain things to my advantage because I have a size disadvantage.
Yeah.
And it should be okay.
Yeah. I like to use it to slow down fast guys too. When you get like a real good speed passer or somebody that always goes to headquarters and you're just like, oh, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I want to just slow the roll down and be a big guy. I'll throw in a lockdown until I feel like,
How often are you ever in a position on your back against someone small and quick that's a really good passer?
Well, it's I play bottom by choice most of the time.
Yeah, that's true.
I mainly just go to my back. And the reason I do that is because as a bigger guy, everyone fights to the death to not allow you to be on top. And so it's like I'm not trying to necessarily up the stakes of the roll to a death match.
Yeah.
And if I insist on playing top position, that's usually what it becomes.
Yeah.
So it's only in like a more competitive role that I will force like top position.
Yeah.
Just to be nice. There's no reason to, smash a white belt and ruin their life, right, Drew?
Not right away, at least.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't want to be smashed on bottom.
But that's kind of a thing I've been playing with big guys is like I'll see them start on their knees, and you don't usually like go someone on their knees on both sides, right? One will usually play guard, and I'll kind of let the opponent choose. But all these big guys are insisting on starting on their knees, and I'm like, here I am playing a guard against Hoken, who's huge and strong, and now I've got to figure out a way to flip the script.
Hey, Hoken has nothing but good things to say about you, though. I think everyone's been
he's
pretty
getting better for sure.
He is. He's like, I feel like he's kind of committed a little bit more, like kind of turned a corner, and to where like he's really focused on getting better instead of just showing up. Which as instructors, like that's what we want to see. Like we want to see like that light switch inside of you.
Yeah, but what I tell big guys, just as a big guy, is I usually say how you win matters, and I know that. Some people will say it doesn't, but I feel like as a big guy, how you win does matter because smashing somebody that you have 100 pounds on and hitting a Kimura from side control. If you only
Kimura'd me every time, it'd be a problem,
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of like skill development, I encourage big guys to not, necessarily just lay on top of people.
Yeah, learn to guard, learn to play off your back.
Exactly.
Like learn how to not get smashed yourself. So, I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
Drew, you're what, 2 months in now?
I think I just passed my 2-month anniversary.
Wow. Do you have a stripe yet?
No,
nothing. No. So you're unrecognized.
I'm a no
Drew doesn't want
player.
a stripe though. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with
with the
promotions, stripes, and everything in general.
We'll just leave it at promotions in general because there's nothing that comes with a stripe. Just like your own peace of mind, like it's like a pat on the back, like it's like your little personal trophy, kind of like the mini trophy in between the big ones.
Keeps you going.
And I've seen other white belts in casual like open mat kind of scenarios where maybe they have a few stripes and it's the first time I'm rolling with them, and then I can tell myself, hey, this guy's been here.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah.
Especially when they get 3 or 4 stripes and you're like, okay, they're almost a blue belt.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite there, but
you're getting to the spot now where people are saying that you've been there now, like they can recognize that, and so I mean that's really good. But like I tell everybody, it's that wrestling background, and if you know how to grapple in one art form, then you should know how to grapple in all the other ones.
Yeah.
It's just figuring out like what wrestling positions work for you or work for jiu-jitsu and what ones don't. So
we were just talking about the turtle position. And
like the turtle,
basing out in wrestling is such a valuable position to have, a strong base. And I'm starting to realize that can transfer to jiu-jitsu very well.
Yeah.
With a little bit of alteration.
You seem like, being from the wrestling side, that you'd have or should develop a really good top turtle. Like starting out in those positions in wrestling, like it should kind of come in handy, like learn to control from on top to where maybe not so much of a bottom turtle, because I guess that's focused more on like escaping, which for the most part, that's what bottom turtle is. Like you're just in a neutral position, ready to escape. There are fun things, like I personally like bottom turtle because you can roll through for legs. But other than that, it's just to make space and then sit back to guard. But.
Yeah. How long did you wrestle for?
Not very long, a little over a year.
I was gonna say you played football too, so
I did, yeah. 8th grade football with David Garness.
That's true. Yeah.
Watching him wear garbage bags to lose weight.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh really? Oh yeah, because they weighed you, right?
Yeah, I had to weigh in like every other week.
Who'd you play football for in 8th grade? Was it Pop
It was
Warner?
Windler. It was Boys and Girls Club. Yeah.
Oh nice.
Drew made me the football player that I am. I became,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
If it wasn't for Drew, I would have.
And now you can return the favor and make Drew into the jiu-jitsu player that he'll one day be.
That's the goal. Yeah.
That is the goal.
Well, I mean, in a way, yeah. I mean, I got into jiu-jitsu while playing football. So
yeah.
I was going to school in California where I started out at Gracie University, which is kind of how I got started. So I mean.
What can you tell us about Gracie University? What dirt can you spill on the Gracie name right here?
Yeah, just smear mud all over them.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it was a great place to train. I mean, my first jiu-jitsu class ever was a private with Henner, actually.
Really?
Yeah, Henner Gracie.
Nice.
I'll throw the name out.
Yeah,
there.
No big deal.
He, I kind of went in and he was like, "Hey, just come back on Friday," and like I came back and it was just me and him.
Yeah.
And so that was. I mean, awesome. He's very energetic, transfers that energy very well.
Yeah.
And so then I started training there, which was good.
You know what? You hear a lot more about Henner Gracie than here on Gracie.
Yeah, for sure.
Was he a bigger face in that school also?
Yeah. No, they both are always there together. They teach a lot.
Yeah. Maybe just one doesn't want to be publicized as much or be the face of it.
I mean, they do the Gracie breakdowns together.
Yeah.
And Huron's good, but Henner is just more energetic.
Yeah.
He just is more extroverted, I guess, and he's always more public, but for they would train there all the time. They'd be there, at nights and doing privates and all that kind of stuff. Their dad Horion would be there as well. He didn't teach very often, but he would teach, maybe a couple times a year or less. But
what made you want to get into jiu-jitsu, and then because specifically while you're playing Division I college football,
correct, yeah.
To pick up jiu-jitsu on the side in the midst of all that?
Well, I was just drawn to it. Football was very, very challenging. It was super intense. And I know that a lot of people, complain about maybe Gracie University not being a super intense program. Yeah. Intense in terms of when you compare it to other jiu-jitsu schools, their white belt curriculum is very mild.
Yeah.
And so I was able to go there basically and just do technique, not really spar a whole lot.
Well, you weren't allowed to spar, is that right?
Correct, yeah.
For the first couple stripes or to blue belt or what?
I want to say it was to the way that they do it is you have to take X amount of classes, and then it's basically, your first couple of stripes are your first two are pretty much attendance based, and then after that they let you attend different classes. Once you get a certain amount under your belt, you would be able to attend something called fight simulation, which is basically a slap jiu-jitsu class where you can punch each other, and that was Thursday nights.
Did you ever do that?
I did. Actually, it was taught by
that sounds pretty fun.
Brian Ortega used to teach that class on Thursday.
Nice, yeah.
Before he made it to the UFC. So
nice.
It was pretty cool to, see people like that, because there was a lot of UFC fighters that would come in and out of that gym.
Yeah.
And so being able to train there and be around people like that was cool.
Yeah.
It was exciting, So, but wanting to do it was just you're just drawn to it. I just wanted to do it. I was redshirting at the time, and so when you're redshirting, you don't travel with the team.
Oh,
and
really?
So the team would fly out on a Friday afternoon, and then they wouldn't come back until after the game on Saturdays. Yeah, so you don't fly redshirt. If you're redshirting, you don't typically travel. So I would have a Friday night and a Saturday. So I'd be all right, well, I'll go to the Friday night class and then the Saturday morning class, and then the team would come in, and then you'd have your stuff to do. So I thought you just
didn't play. That's I mean, I guess it saves
also
a lot of money that they just don't travel either. Like, why would you travel if you didn't play? I guess so. If you're take up room on the bus and pay to sleep and eat and all that.
Yeah, and they'll have a travel squad of less people, and then they'll have their home squad. So if you're if you're red shirting or third string or something like that, they're not going to pay to have you fly around and feed you and all that kind of stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
and that was just your freshman year?
No, so my freshman year, actually, I didn't even start out at University of Southern California. I started out right out of high school. I didn't play football at all.
Yeah,
I went to UAA. I took like 2 classes, and then I walked on to the University of Hawaii in the spring of 2009.
Yeah,
and then when I was there, I was kind of like, I'm a little bit better than I kind of thought I was.
Yeah,
and so once I was at University of Hawaii, I kind of told them like, hey, I want a scholarship or I'm leaving, and they're like, we don't offer like gray shirt freshmen. Like, who are you?
Who are you again?
Scholarship. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I was like, okay. So I left and I went to a school in California called City College of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I got recruited out of there I did my community college there, and they're known for putting out athletes to get scholarships.
Yeah.
And so I got recruited out of City College to go play at USC. So I was technically a junior when I transferred, but I still had my redshirt year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So how many years did you actually play?
So
at USC?
I was at USC for 3 years.
Okay.
So I redshirted when I first got there, and then I had back surgery right after I redshirted. Yeah. So I herniated 2 discs in my back, and I had back surgery. And then I came back for what's called spring ball, because we have a spring season. Mm-hmm. That's like we just scrimmage each other. But then I re-injured my back again in 2-a-days fall camp. And so then I never recovered after that.
Dang. So when you guys scrimmage each other, like, do you scrimmage other teams, or it's
just
that specific team?
Because at that level you don't have, like in high school, you know what I'm saying? Oh, the offensive lineman is also the defensive lineman.
Yeah.
But at that level, your offensive line is your offensive line, your D line is your D line. You have people that are on offense and defense, so you can put your ones against your ones, your twos against your twos, or ones against twos, twos against one. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Damn. So you had back surgery in college, huh?
Yes. Yeah. It's good. Microdiscectomy, and a couple of, there's a series of, cortisone injections and stuff like that, and then back surgery.
Yeah, that brings us to our next segment, why David Garness is always injured.
One of the reasons, yeah.
Yeah, man. Football started young, huh?
Started young, yeah. I was early 20s when I had back surgery, and, there's always other stuff. Football's pretty hard on your body, so.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I got a scholarship.
What caused the back injury?
Weightlifting. Yeah. Well, it's at college they want you to play, right? You're there to make them money, and so when you're injured, it's not like, so I'm told. I never played in the NFL, but it's my understanding that if you get more injured in the NFL, you're a $2 million asset that they're not trying to permanently mangle. Yeah. Whereas in college, if you're injured, it's kind of like, well, we got you for 2 years regardless. Yeah, so get out there.
We're paying for you to be here. You're gonna play. Yeah.
So
I heard college football is a lot tougher than the NFL. Like to get to the NFL, and just like the games and the intensity.
Yeah.
Whether for whatever reason it might be, and it might not even be true, I don't know. But I think it's just like trying a lot harder, and to get there to where, like, when you make it to the NFL, like, you finally made it. So it's time to slow down a little bit and preserve your $1 million body at that point.
Right. Now, obviously, I didn't make it to the NFL, but the players that I talk to say practice is a lot. It's a lot more relaxed. They kind of treat you like an adult, and you're expected to handle yourself.
Yeah. When you went to Hawaii, did you know Dunbar?
I did not.
Bobby Dunbar?
I know of him, but I didn't. He wasn't there when I was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know when he graduated from high school, but I know he went and played there for a bit anyway. I didn't actually know him either. I just know he was the man in high school.
There was a different Alaskan kid, though, at University of Hawaii that actually went to City College of San Francisco. He got recruited from City College to Hawaii, where I went from Hawaii to City College, and he actually is an MMA fighter.
Really?
Jake Kuhn. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
Never heard of her.
He fought MMA, and he was, he's a good MMA fighter. So.
Up here, or he's like on Alaska, like a regional scene, or
no, he's from Alaska. Went to community college in San Francisco, and then went to Hawaii.
But like his MMA career, where do you know like where that took place, or
he fought locally, and then he fought in I don't know, it was
just
on
like
TV.
The next level up.
Yeah, the next level up.
Cool. It's always fun to see Alaskans going on to do things. Yeah. Speaking of Alaskans, did you watch the Kill a Gorilla last Saturday?
I did watch the Kill a Gorilla on Saturday.
That was a fun one. Did you watch it?
I missed it. I've been meaning to go back and watch it.
We went to Taco King one time, us three, and Drew led me on to believe he was a big MMA fan.
Yeah.
And since then, he's watched 0 fights.
Well, you could be a fan but not be overly committed.
Conor McGregor wasn't fighting? I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
It was a good fight, though. I thought it was a fun 5 rounds. I thought he pretty much won them all. And then the judges came out and read their scorecards. It was like 49-46 for Jared, 49-46 for Sean Strickland. And I just was kind of blown away how one judge would see basically every round for one guy and one would see it the other way.
Yeah.
When, like, the strikes, they were pretty even on the feet, and I don't think it really went to the ground. But Jared walked forward the entire time, put pressure on the entire time, and Strickland just worked a jab. It's kind of hard to say you won when you're getting hit just as much walking backwards, only throwing jabs.
Yeah, I'm biased towards the aggressor usually when I watch MMA fights.
And especially if it's close. Like, there's been fights when the aggressor, and specifically, I'm just going to say Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit. That was, that's probably a decade ago, but
say going way back with that one for an example.
Yeah, so Nick Diaz spent the entire time doing what Nick Diaz does, walking forward, throwing punches and bunches, and Carlos Condit, played a pretty elusive game, but he would just stick and move, and I thought he did a lot more by actually moving backwards. So there's those rare times when it does, but it was pretty blatant that he won, I felt like.
I had him winning the fight, but I wasn't, it wasn't... I could see someone saying that it was closer, but 46 was it 49-46, 4-1. I didn't see that scorecard. I could see 48-47 Strickland maybe.
Yeah, I couldn't even see Strickland winning the majority of the rounds at all. And that could just be just being biased towards the Alaskan fighter. I mean, many people don't know this, but I have a kind of a personal relationship with Jared Cannonier. Back at Legacy East, I once held the door open for him and his family when they were coming in, full of gym bags. So no big deal, but you're welcome.
Yeah, there's actually when Roger was testing me for my purple belt, he had arranged
20 years ago.
20 years ago, he arranged a death match between me and Cannonier.
Oh, nice.
He's got the video footage somewhere.
Roger does?
Me as a blue belt and Jared as a purple belt.
Nice. Insert that video footage here.
Right.
And that's really cool. So you have your own story with them.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually... I remember I used to take the Muay Thai class back in the day, and I held pads for him one time, and I was like, this was before he made it to the UFC.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy hits so unbelievably hard. It was just like such a massive difference between anybody else I ever held pads for versus him, and I was like, this is why I will never fight MMA. The way that he hit and the way that he didn't load his punches and everything, I was just like, he's amazing, and that's why he made it as far as he did.
He's the man at heavyweight, light heavyweight, and middleweight.
Yeah.
So
I think they said he was the only second fighter to ever have knockouts in 3 divisions.
Yeah, I think Conor, wins at least. Conor was the other one.
Yeah, but knockouts.
So Conor might have knocked Cerrone out at 170.
Oh, yeah.
So that could have been Conor.
It was the shoulder strikes.
Oh, yeah, it was that one. Another... I got something else for UFC too, but another Alaskan who just double golded at Nogi Worlds, Elizabeth Clay.
Oh, nice.
So that was, I think, last weekend.
Also started out in morning class.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
She used to come way back at Legacy East.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say started out at morning class. She was a blue belt.
She was a part of the morning class.
She was a part of the morning class.
I think she actually started out in Soldotna or Kenai or something, and then came up and obviously did great things here, and then
thanks to us.
Thanks to the morning class at Legacy Jiu Jitsu, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 a.m.
That she went to for 6 months and then left.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it's like anything else, like Jared, if you want to be the best in the world and you want to go double gold and you want to go fight for the UFC championship, you've got to get out of the small town gym, and obviously Legacy and the other gyms in Anchorage have great people, but same thing. If you want to be the best, you need to go to the main area's headquarters if you're part of Legacy or something like that, or travel to California or wherever it might be. Shout out to the Killer Gorilla and Elizabeth Clay for their big things over the weekends. To the UFC though, real quick, I just saw last night they upped the pay-per-view price to $80 per pay-per-view now. When 2 years ago it was $60, and then
used to be
$5 every. Yeah, I remember that.
And the Fight Pass too.
Yeah, I almost got Fight Pass again when they announced they were doing that UFC Invitational 3, and it was going to be Gordon versus
Nicky Rod.
No, it was supposed to be
Vinny
Gordon
Montes.
versus Vinny, yeah. And so I was kind of interested in that, and they had some really good guys on the tournament. For like Nicky Rod was supposed to be on the tournament, and Andy Varela, and a bunch of other people. So I did want to watch that, and then I had all my info put in. I was ready to like renew the subscription because like my stuff's still in there. I just canceled it. So I was getting ready to do it, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna like throw it by my wife to make sure. Like I just got Disney Plus package again. But in a roundabout way, it was good because as I was waiting to pick kids up, I exited out of the screen. Like I was going on Facebook or Instagram, and it announced that Vinny had to drop out. I guess he tried to cut a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
And then
kidney failure.
Kidney failed. Yep. So they replaced him with Nicky Rod, and I just watched Nicky Rod versus Gordon Ryan at ADCC. Do I really need to see that match again right now?
So you thought.
So, yeah. So I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But
I didn't watch it, but I watched some breakdowns of it.
Yeah, I did watch like the highlights of it and funny stuff. Nicky Rod posted a bunch of funny stuff on his Instagram about, he lost the match, but funny positions with him and like screenshots of the match with him and Gordon. Like he's in top turtle.
Oh, man.
Weird, funny stuff. But then another one was like he ripped his toe hold on Gordon.
Yeah, broke his foot.
Yeah, I'd imagine like he did like popped some stuff in his foot.
Gordon said it broke in the post.
Gordon says everything breaks though. Yeah. Have you ever seen like, oh yeah, and then I broke his leg, and he didn't really break his leg. I mean, that's like in a way you did. Maybe you like popped some ligaments or something in there, but
you never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, and we're gonna get in the way of it right now. But yeah, so I was watching a highlight of Nicky Rod pulling that toe fold, and you can see Victor Davila, the ref in it, who also like does some other stuff, and Eddie Bravo's buddy from 10th Planet. But like you can hear it crack in the video, and he's just like, oh, and you see it's pretty fun one. But yes, I didn't need to see that match again, so I didn't get Fight Pass, especially now like pay-per-view prices going up again, and
it's Christmas time. You got kids.
I got kids, and they need Fight Pass more than I do.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm glad I didn't get it. If more stuff happens, but then they had the Combat Jiu Jitsu tournament going on, like the teams tournament. I think they had like an alpha male versus B team versus some other people. So there's like quite a bit of stuff going on there. Like I wish they'd have more Polaris events, but if they do keep bringing stuff in there, then it'll be kind of tempting to get it.
Yeah. And
something else, I think Fight to Win, they're not that I'm a huge Fight to Win fan, but out of their 40 matches they put on every Friday or Saturday, there's like 5 good ones at the top. But I heard they were announcing something there where they were like looking at other streaming people to go to, so maybe not necessarily Flow. They were talking about going to Fight or Amazon or UFC Fight Pass. So I think Fight Pass might slowly be taking over like the grappling streaming part.
Do you think it'd be better for grappling to be unified under one
for sure
corporation? Yeah.
How
like the UFC.
For the most part, it'd be easier if it was more just everybody was like under one platform.
Yeah.
But then I'm sure there's benefits and pros and cons to why or why not that might happen. But for the viewer, it would just be easier if because before, like, Flow had 90% of everything.
Yeah.
Like, they had all the IBJJF, or they still do. They have ADCC. They have their own tournaments. They have, like, their podcasts. And they have their shows and everything. Like, Flow is great. And now some stuff's leaving there and it's going other places. So for a viewer who has kids and has, like, a family life and has other responsibilities to where I can't pay for 5 subscriptions just to watch grappling, it's kind of a bummer. So, I mean, I would like it for all just to go to Flow, or if it all ends up going to Fight Pass, then I'll just pay for Fight Pass.
Yeah.
But, we'll see what happens. And until then, we'll just all each get one and we'll just share them. Take turns going to each other's houses or something.
Right.
That's what I do for ESPN to watch the pay-per-views. Like, I'll take turns buying one, and then my buddy takes turns buying one, and we just watch them. So it's better than spending $80 per pay-per-view right now. You're only spending $40 in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
I just wait 2 weeks and then it's free.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
what,
it's kind of a
just
bummer.
find it on YouTube or some backsite?
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer doing that. Like, if I don't watch them live and then you get updates or you see them on social media, or like your phone just gets updates sent to it, then it's a real bummer because you know who wins. Are you really going to be motivated to go watch, that title fight on pay-per-view and when you already know what happens?
Yeah, there's definitely more excitement when you don't know the outcome.
For sure. Yeah, and watching them live is that thing. And I don't know how many more pay-per-view hikes like I'll suffer through and still buy them, but If I didn't have a deal worked out with the buddy, like I definitely wouldn't.
I could see them upping the price for really good cards.
Yeah.
But for every card to be $80, I mean, some of the cards I wouldn't even pay $40 for.
There's a lot. There's a lot of them. Yeah. Like when the main event drops out last minute and they get a replacement, do you really want to go pay $80 for that now?
Right.
No, I definitely don't. But like they're not going to like pick and choose what ones they hike up.
Yeah.
Like a boxing one when it was like Mayweather McGregor, it's $100, but to go watch a bunch of people you don't even know about and you're going to pay $100 for it.
Right.
I'll know somebody who will pay it, I'm sure. But like me personally, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's just a real bummer, especially when I'm sure their pay-per-view ratings, like at some point, they used to have like 800,000 view pay-per-views and million views and all this, and I'd imagine like they're way lower than that now. So to come and up the price on top of that, like I'd imagine they're just going to take a bigger dump.
Yeah.
And people are just going to get tired of paying for it.
Do they still release all the pay-per-view data? I know they used to.
I know, so I don't think they have to now since they're with ESPN, and it's not like a pay-per-view or like on cable to where you have to order it. It's like part of a streaming platform and like I don't even know what you'd call it, but just one single entity has it to where they don't have to actually release it anymore. So who knows? So it's just a little dive into the UFC real quick and people doing things over the weekend. When you were done with college, was it the injuries or did you finish college at USC?
I finished college at USC. So I was training Jiu Jitsu there. I was still training with the team until I re-injured my back in 2 days at the next fall camp. And then at that time, I was done with football. And I then finished my degree and then moved up. So after you get injured, they don't necessarily cut you off. I had like a semester or two left and they let me finish the year that I had.
The year.
Yeah, to get my degree.
I wonder if that's just to be a nice thing or if there's some like legality behind that.
I think they're legally required because there's a lot of guys that get injured.
They're just waiting for you to fuck
I remember
up,
no, because they don't really require a whole lot.
Yeah.
I remember even when I first showed up, there were guys that were there who just were permanently injured, and you'd see him around, and you'd be like, "Who's that guy?" And it'd be like, "Oh, he's, he broke his leg 3 years ago, and they're letting him finish his degree." And so I think it's an NCAA requirement that you can't cut scholarship players for injury.
Yeah. They're just waiting for you to mess up outside of the field.
Yeah,
though.
Then you're gone.
Yeah, like they don't drunk at a party or get a DUI or something.
I never saw him kick anybody out for stuff like that, but I'm sure it happens.
I'm sure, yeah. But that's like a pretty well-known school, though, and I'm sure like there's a strict process to get onto that team or a scholarship.
For sure.
So like those people are probably kind of past that stage of messing up outside of school or acting like that.
Well, they try to.
Right. So.
Well, they try to. There's a vetting process, and I always tell guys, especially high school football players or community college guys that want to get recruited, is you're selling a product.
Yeah.
So I was doing civil engineering, and to a lot of coaches, most of the guys they talk to aren't doing engineering. So they're doing, something that's not quite as intensive, math heavy and stuff like that. So it helped with the product sale, if that makes sense. So a lot of them were impressed by that, and it does help you get recruited. So, if you're not out being an idiot, partying, posting dumb stuff on your social media, getting good grades, just actually taking stuff, then it's going to help you get recruited if that's something that somebody wanted to try to do.
Yeah.
But you're selling a complete package. And so you got to try to make some of those worries, because there are idiots at college. When you go there, there's guys that just, they're guys that just don't show up to practice and then, or you show up late or something like that. And that doesn't end well.
Yeah. Are those the scholarship players?
Yeah, I mean, some of them. Because some of the kids are just really good out of high school. And they get recruited, and then they get into a more rigid program, and they just can't really cut it, And so some of those guys do get weeded out, but you get a lot of – they're interested in winning, and if you can help them win, then they're going to try to find a way to keep you around.
That makes sense. Have you ever seen The Program?
No.
Man, that's have you ever seen it? It's one of the greatest football movies. It's possibly the greatest football movie ever.
Better than like Remember the Titans?
Way better than Remember the Titans. Though Remember Titans was great. But the program, I think it's actually about USC also. I could be making that up. I've been known to do that.
All good things, I'm sure.
Yeah. So yeah, you should check that out. It's a really fun one. But same thing, like they keep some people around too that can help them win and all this and make sure they can play type of stuff. So it's pretty fun look into it.
I'd like to throw The Water Boy in for one of the greatest football movies.
Oh, for sure.
Time.
Yes,
it
100%.
It definitely is. What's your favorite football movie?
Waterboy, now that you mention it,
Is it?
It has everything: action, excitement, Captain Insano,
love story,
shows no mercy.
It is a love story, yeah. Old Vicky Valancourt. What was The Replacements?
Oh, I remember The Replacements.
With Keanu Reeves.
That was a good one.
That was one of his best movies. Also another great football movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I was I was training jiu-jitsu there, training with the Gracie brothers. I ended up getting my blue belt there, and then moved up to Alaska. But it as far as training goes, it was, like I said, it fit with what I was trying to do at that time. But towards the end, after the season was over, kind of before I moved back to Alaska, I started training there, more because I was feeling better. I wasn't practicing every day. My back started to feel better, probably about what it is, maybe now, where I can train jiu-jitsu. But if it gets injured, I need to take a week or so off. And, there's a lot of UFC fighters that would go in and out of there. And, I remember like Saturdays, I'd show up early and Henry would be given privates to like Lyoto Machida on Saturday mornings. You get to watch that kind of stuff. It was cool.
That's the weird thing I've noticed, that you train Saturdays in California, but you don't train Saturdays now.
I train Saturday mornings now, and I train Saturday mornings then.
Let's hit the hot topic now. Why don't you go to open mats, David?
That's tough. So being married with children and a wife that is in nursing school, it makes it challenging. It's tough to...
Does she hit you?
What was that?
Does she hit you?
You
can tell us now.
Not as hard as I hit her. That's not...
Touche. Yeah. All right, good.
No, it's just tough, with work, school, kids. I mean, 3 kids, you got kids.
Yeah.
I don't know how you make it as much as you do.
My wife doesn't hit me that hard, so I'm not too afraid to leave the house. I also do offer to take the kids with me, and if she has plans, then I'll definitely take them with me. But for the most part, like, it's a pretty quiet on the weekends here. Like, everyone's just home, like, ready to relax. And if my plans aren't interfering with anything, then I don't feel too bad about leaving it. If she's just going to sit at home. If she has plans, again, like, I'll offer to take them, or I won't go that day. But for the most part, it's been pretty regular. Like, it's kind of just a routine by now, and she's kind of used to it.
Do you go to open mats, Drew?
As often as I can.
Yeah.
I don't have children, so my schedule is wide open.
Do you remember last Sunday when you said you were going to go to open mat?
Yeah, I was so beat up. I was so beat up from Saturday, though, and I woke up Sunday morning feeling like the pits.
The first thing Jerry asked me when I walked in, he was like, "So no Drew?" And he did say that was strike 1. So you're almost not allowed there anymore.
I get 3 strikes, though, right?
Have you've gone over there before?
I've never been to AGA, but I would love to check it out.
No, super fun. Great place to train, like a really nice, calm environment. Mm-hmm. The kind of one like anyone can walk into. Like I said before, like to try like maybe somebody new, telling them about like the other gyms in town. Like if you go to like a Legacy open mat, there's like a good mixture of like people that do want to go hard, but like some just kind of hobbyists too. ABJJ, great guys at jiu-jitsu. It's a pretty hard room though. Like they go pretty tough in the gi, and they're all about the gi. And then also at Legacy, you'll get gi and no gi, kind of a pretty even mixture of both. AGA, you'll get some gi guys in there, but it's kind of like, oh, you're putting the gi on type of deal. So it's a lot of no gi going on. So that's why I really enjoy it.
I'm starting to like no gi more and more.
You should. Someone else, was that you who was telling me that? No, it was Graham, I think. He was telling me.
Yeah.
I might have made that up too, though. Somebody told me on Wednesday that they were really enjoying no gi, and it just touched my heart. I was really happy to hear it.
I would like to switch to more no gi in the morning class, actually.
See, we should for like the next year. Yeah, like the white belt rolls his eyes. Total white belt thing to do. I would like to throw in 2 days of it and 1 day of gi. I think it'd be fun, or switch it up month to month, something like that. I feel like somebody would not like that, though.
Yeah, but he would never know.
You would never know. Anyway, so there we go.
Yeah, no, I like them both. What I hate is switching back and forth.
Yeah.
I wish that there was like a gi season and a no gi season. Like during the winter we only do gi, and then during the summer's months we do all no gi. I don't like, like Monday we have gis, Wednesday we have no gi, then Friday is gi, and it makes it tough because you're changing your game based on everything that you're doing. So if you're trying to work on like open guard no gi, you only have that one Wednesday to do it. Jiu-jitsu is complicated enough as it is, and then if you throw in like gi and no gi, now it becomes even more complicated because you have different game plans based upon what you're wearing.
Yeah, kind of. I don't. I should, though. It'd probably make my gi game a lot better.
Like if you're a collar sleeve guy in gi, then in no gi, well, what are you going to do in open guard?
I'm slowly starting to find that. I really enjoy the collar chokes.
Yeah.
And then Wednesdays, there's no collar to grab onto.
Right.
And I'll find myself in that position not knowing where to go next.
Yeah.
I found when I was a lower belt, I liked the gi more because I'm bigger than everybody. And so I could just grab the collar, slow the match down.
Yeah.
It's much slower. But I found that in no gi, it's harder for me to utilize my size and force people to do what I want. And so it's harder to control lower belts in no gi, and especially because I train a lot of gi. I'm not saying I'm getting I'm not getting dominated by the white belts, in no gi, but it's a different game. It's a different sport, really.
It's definitely a different sport. Like it's more just submission grappling, and like there's a lot more wrestling involved and scrambles involved, to where like you're saying like the gi, the friction and control somebody and do all that. I used to like the gi more at lower belts also, probably like white to the beginning of blue belt. And then I just matured as a person. I found out that no gi is way better. I think it was just one of those like new to jiu-jitsu things, like oh, it's all about the gi and all this, and then like once you start to get your own personality through it and you start to figure out, then for me, like it was just all about no-gi. And also like when I started out, like right out of high school, for the little bit I did, it was all no-gi. Like I never put a gi on until you invited me to the morning class that time. And that was the first time I ever put a gi on. And that was 10 years after. So the only reason I really want to put the gi on now is just for the stripes. So even though at the beginning of this we say like I say stripes don't matter, they mean nothing. Even I want like the little personal pat on the back and to like, hey, you're doing good. Like, oh, that was a great roll. You're doing good. I see you doing this. But I feel like we've kind of talked about it before. Like you're either a brown belt for a really short time, or you're in it for the long haul.
Do you think I'll catch up to you in stripes? He almost said you should. Were you going to say you shouldn't?
You should. So I was
Were you going to say should or shouldn't? What was he going to say, Drew?
I was feeling a should.
I was feeling a should as well.
I was going to say you should. But at the same time, like, so I had a nice, like, long talk with Roger, a nice romantic walk around the lake.
I've done one of those with him too.
So
it is romantic.
It is a nice thing,
because it's like it's always in the afternoon where like the sun's like over the lake
really
and the
nice,
snow.
Yeah, it was really muddy though, so there was some bad aspects. But so we went around, and this was, obviously like I'm still early brown belt.
A year in,
kind
early?
Of, just over a little over a year in. But this was kind of like when I just got that stripe, and before I got the first stripe, and even when I got the first stripe and all this, like this has nothing to do with like being a proponent for you. It was just like, man, like, am I a brown belt? Like, how good am I? And all this, and at the same time, I'd be like, man, I can't believe I'm a brown belt and you're not. Like, you had your own like reasons for it, and like kind of holding yourself back in a way. But it was kind of like hard for me to be like, how is he not, but I am.
Right.
So I'm not like the biggest guy, and I'm not like the smallest guy. Like I'm like a weird, like an in between.
How tall are you?
Like 6 foot, maybe 6'1".
Okay.
I'm probably hit that age where I start shrinking now. So I'm like 6 foot, but I only weigh like 170. And that's probably like fully clothed. Like I'm probably between like 167 to 170. So, and like you like literally have 100 pounds on me.
Yes.
And at first, like I thought that was kind of more like a jokingly, like, oh, I have 100 pounds on you, like just something like
that I would
you're
say
saying to be nice to, like, because you obviously outsized me. So coming up and like through the talk with Roger and through like one stripe brown belt, up until the one stripe, it was like, man, David's the man. Like it's time to promote David. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing? And then of course, like you and him have had your talks, and we've had our talks like before that. But I do think, like, if we were the same size, I think I win.
Probably.
And like, it took me a while to like get maybe like, and I don't want that to come off as sounding like arrogant or anything like that. Like, I just think, like it took me up until the first stripe at brown belt to be confident in my jiu-jitsu, to be
Right.
like, I can go to whatever gym and I can hang with that black belt. I can beat this black belt.
Right.
I can beat that brown belt. I can
So
beat
what
these
you're saying
people.
is you're calling out every black belt in Alaska to come challenge you at morning arm bars.
Yes.
Let it be known.
At Nogi, and it has to be a friendly roll.
Open call out.
Yeah.
$100 if you submit him.
Yep. Yes. Drew and David will pay you $100 if you submit me in Nogi.
I thought you were putting the money up.
No, I don't. It's Christmas time. we just talked about this. We have kids. Yeah. So that's where like, I don't remember exactly how this conversation started, but like I think it was like maybe started off of you and like the proponent for like you being promoted and whatever it might be. But do
you guys ever feel like a sense of imposter syndrome, or at any certain level have that experience?
Up until the first stripe on my brown belt, yeah, and that was one of the things that Roger and I talked about on our walk and our talk.
Yeah.
It was just like, it's like there's been plenty of times when like, not necessarily looking in the mirror, but like that figuratively saying like you look yourself in the mirror. Like I would see a blue belt, and like when I'd come in, I'd be teaching a class or something, or when I first got my brown belt, I was like, do people like I see myself every single day, right? Like for my whole life. So speaking specifically about jiu-jitsu, like, so like when I feel like I'm still the same person who was a blue belt. Obviously like my skills would obviously be different now, but like, so it'd be a long time when I would just feel like, do these people that like are watching me teach, are they just watching a blue belt teach? Like, do they think like I'm still a blue belt, or what do they think?
Right.
Because when I see myself, like sometimes I do feel like just like a blue belt, or maybe like a decent purple belt. So yeah, up until that first stripe on my brown belt, like I had imposter syndrome quite a bit. And now after that, I feel like, no, I'm ready for the next step. Like I'm a solid brown belt. I can hang with anybody. And like, I'm like looking forward to that next step now, and kind of done looking backwards and questioning myself now.
Yeah.
What
I was going to say, for me, I was a purple belt for so long that the imposter syndrome, I don't really feel it too much, to be honest with you. I knew that I had marinated for a long time at purple belt, and a lot of people all the time were asking me when I was getting promoted. I feel like, talking with people, the upper belts, and I don't think that they would BS me if they didn't think I was a brown belt. So I just kind of, more than like relying on my own opinion of myself, it was more like, rolling hard with Jordan giving me his honest opinion, rolling hard with Roger, him giving me his opinion, Tom, and then the Shark Tank too, I thought was good.
No, those things are good. My big thing wasn't like the Shark Tank. Like when I was going through promotions, it was more like the mental battle, and there in the Shark Tank there's a huge mental battle. I'm sure once you get done with like the white belts, then it starts like creeping in, be like, one, you're getting tired, one, like obviously the intensity starting to go up, and then you get into like Ben and Dave, right? And then it's like, all right, I could quit now. I could start making an excuse to get my way out of here,
for sure.
Or like you could suffer through the next 20 minutes and get through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a ton of things for that.
I felt less pressure with the upper belts, a little bit. In a way, I was like, okay, because in the beginning, you're like, all right, I've got 10 white belts to get through. Not 10, but there's like 7 or 8 white belts to go through. Then there's 4 or 5 blue belts you got to get through, and then a couple purple belts, a couple brown belts, and then a couple black belts. So
can we ask who you felt the most pressure on?
On rolling with?
Yeah,
I wanted to do better against Roger. I did, but I was so exhausted.
That's tough. And he brought the heat. He brought it.
And I put up, when I roll with him fresh, we can roll. You know what I'm saying? But I put up no fight. He passed my guard so fast that he
walked in that day ready.
Yeah.
And you could see it because, like Roger has his his reasons and, trouble sleeping. It's harder for him to come in a lot now. But he looked like he got a fresh night of sleep that morning.
Yeah,
he walked in ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the end of, I think I had like 14 matches that day, and he was the very last one. Yeah. And it didn't go well for me.
Yeah. Roger's the man.
He is.
It was really nice. It made me feel good. Like, obviously it was funny like why he came in so fresh.
Yeah.
But for us, like people in the morning class, like, there's plenty of people who just don't know who Roger is. Like they don't see Roger how maybe you and I see Roger.
Correct.
Like Roger, like for me, like a weird thing is like Roger's like a god among gods.
Right.
And Roger's like the man. So to like watch him come in like fresh and
fired up,
like that.
He was
felt
excited.
Good. I was excited to see him excited for jiu-jitsu for once in a long time. And man, I wish that happened more often.
It's tough, but I would say as far as like the roles where I was like super disappointed is I wanted to do better against Tom too.
Yeah.
But Tom is such an amazing passer, and I hurt my calf earlier on to where I was not trying to do a whole lot of stand-up anymore because I couldn't like shoot and level change.
Yeah.
So, when you hurt your ankle on the fourth of, 14 rolls. So
how many times did you level change and shoot during the Shark
Zero.
Tank? Zero?
I did not shoot at all. I was so my strategy was I know that I have a strong closed guard, and my thoughts were I'm going to get to closed guard as fast as possible on the lower belts and just get the submission as fast as possible.
And just high guard armbar everybody.
Yeah, high guard armbar everybody.
And it worked.
It did work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it was maybe act like I'm going to do a knee tap, maybe act like I'll do an ankle pick, pull guard, arm bar for all the white and blue belts.
Yeah.
And then some purple belts, I did my high guard arm bar, but then I had a really good match with Ben.
Yeah.
Gave me a run for my money, ended up subbing me. Yeah.
Ben's real tough. Solid guy, like muscular, has endurance.
Somehow.
Ben's
at 48 years old.
Is he 48?
I don't know. He's in his mid to late 40s.
Yeah, Ben's a freak.
He is.
Yeah.
If I can roll half as hard as he can when I'm that old, I'll be very happy.
If I could roll half as hard as that now, I'd be happy. But I don't. Me and him had a couple of really good rolls while we were getting ready for that quintet. One Saturday morning, we did like 2 10-minute rounds, and fuck, I was done.
Yeah.
That was tough. That's too much for me.
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I witnessed a Shark Tank.
Okay.
At what point does that become a frame of reference for your skill in order to gain a promotion?
I don't think there's much. I think it's more like a mental thing in my eyes. Like I said, like partway through, if you have, say, 14 matches and 7 of them are white belts, well, those 7 matches are going to be pretty easy. Then you get into blue belts, and whether it's like a mental shift or whatnot, like it's going to start building up at some point, whether it's like through the blue belts or the purple belts. It'd probably be more so the purple belts for you, but even like the blue belts are bringing a little bit more intensity, a little bit more skills that you have to use, more skill and technique, and just that little creeping in of doubt is going to start getting into you. Like for me, whether I'm running a mile or I'm doing some sort of workout and I have a bunch of sets or reps to do, there's going to be a point in that, like if I do 20 push-ups around number 10, I'm like, this is pretty stupid.
Yeah.
I could stop doing this right now, and I could start figuring out excuses for myself. Like it takes a lot of mental strength to like get through that and not let yourself quit during that.
Yeah, and I think some things that Roger wanted to see exposed was your reactions when you're exhausted.
Yeah.
We went the whole time. Your match was the only match that went the full time.
Don't embarrass me.
Cut
that out of here, Drew.
And so
to be fair though, David played a flat on his stomach game and didn't and laid there and didn't open up.
Yeah, so like Roger had me rematch Mark again, after that because he wanted to see it more fresh. Same thing with like Ben, he had me rematch Ben, and so he didn't have me rematch him, but
it's tough for him to get 2 nights of sleep in a row.
So I would say, he is looking for certain things, and so there is something to be exposed there. But normally by the time you get to the Shark Tank, you're already at that level.
I see. So is this more of a brown belt thing, or would a purple belt also have to endure a Shark Tank?
I'm sure
I competed
places, not so much here in the morning class.
Yeah, he had me compete. So he was like, you need to either do like the open mat or competition thing. What did you have Shark Tanks? Or?
So I think I had one for every level, not Shark Tank. So from white to blue belt, he wanted me to go to maybe other classes at Legacy and go to like a seminar.
Yep.
Which I thought at the seminar I was going to get promoted.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I was so bummed out. I was never been so bummed in my life. But from then blue to purple belt, I think I had to go to comp classes and like figure out like the more intensity. Along the way at white belt, I competed twice. Blue belt was more, I think, comp classes, but little things to get you out of your comfort zone. Purple belt was going to other gyms, open mats. And at blue belt, it might have been like just going to open mats in general. But purple belt was going to like ABJJ open mat. And I think he even called over there to like set it up or something. And then, I went to like AGA open mats a bunch. And so that, and then, but for brown belt, yeah, like I got Shark Tanked for 2 days.
You think he'll do that again for black belt?
I don't know if I would.
You think he'll make you do it?
I don't know. Cause like we've had our talks, like, to where like, yeah, I want to be a black belt, like, and not so much in one of those ways, like, for a lot of different reasons, like, and I'm not saying like I'm a black belt right now. I'm just saying like, I do want to be one. I do care about being a black belt.
Right.
You put in so much time, you put in years of effort and multiple days and sessions. Like that's my goal. But like we've had our conversations like, do I want to go jump through hoops to be a black belt now? Like I've jumped through every single hoop I've jumped through my own hoops. Like I put on myself. And like I just don't know if like I'm at the point now, like I said, I'm just doing jiu-jitsu now because it's fun for me and I have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Not to like impress anybody or to make anyone else like proud of me. So if we randomly showed up one day and like, all right, this is it, and like that was the final step, then yeah. But like I'm not planning to go through a Shark Tank, or get told I need to go to do this or do that, because in my mind, and I'm only a brown belt, so I don't know, obviously, but like, I mean, I go to open mats every weekend. I go to other gyms. I've trained out of state. I've competed out of state. I've competed here. I show up, pretty much as I train as much or more than anybody. So to feel like I have a task to do, like that's just not something I'm interested in anymore.
Yeah. So if it comes organically,
like I walk in and there's people there and like that's it, like we got to roll and there's going to be an hour-long Shark Tank and then I get it at the end of that, that's great. Like yeah, I would do it, but like I feel like you knew there was a Shark Tank coming.
Yeah.
For me, I don't even know if I knew there was a Shark Tank coming. But I also came up here on like a last minute for a funeral and got it. So but then on top of that, like I get 2 days of it.
That was rough. That was the worst Shark Tank I've ever seen.
That was not like, I can't imagine there being much worse ones. But so if I knew about it, like, all right. And at those lower levels, like I'm still gung ho. Like I'm getting this. We're training every day. We're doing this. And now it's just like, no, I'm going to make it. So to like plan a test or to plan a task, like I'm just not interested in it.
Yeah. What was so intense about your Shark Tank?
It lasted for
2 days.
You saw his? Yeah, because that was when you just started.
Yeah, I was the first one up against Garness.
And it was an hour long, right? One class. Well, mine was Monday and Wednesday.
Yeah, he was like, come back again.
It was 2 days in a row. And Wednesday, like my bread and butter, like what I feel like I excel at, though I do fine in the gi, is no gi. So Monday we show up and we roll in the gi. Wednesday I was like, all right, no gi. And then he told me to bring my gi, so we rolled the entire time in the gi again.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get like that break which it would have been like a kind of a mental break for me, like just to know I get a little bit more movement, I can move around, I can create escapes and do this, and I can get into like doing other stuff to where like, no, now you're trapped in the gi again. It was rough.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the Monday was the super intense Shark Tank where you were kind of in the middle and he rotated everybody through. And then Wednesday, he had you go in the middle and then everybody that came for your promotion like rotated through.
Yeah.
And so it was just it wasn't as many eyes on you, but he made sure that you stayed rolling the whole time.
Yeah. And then so the Monday, like we had just the regulars for the and it might have just been the regular. I don't think anyone showed up for Monday. But then Wednesday, like no white belts come to see you get promoted. It's like
it's all the upper belts.
It's all brown and black belts.
Oh, I'll be there.
Well, he was saying as far as like a normal attendee. So like it's not like the white belts from night class were showing up to see Mark get promoted on Wednesday. So it's all like the upper belts. Like, oh yeah, I trained with Mark, and so
it was all brown and black belts. I felt like I'd have to go back and really watch, but I know specifically it was Jordan, Mike,
Nico.
I don't know if Nico came. He came from my purple belt though.
Yeah.
But then there was a handful of other ones. So yeah, it was just really tough. And again, like there was on Monday, I already had like, I could get out of this right now. Oh, I got to go. Got to go get ready for that funeral. Or Wednesday could have done the same thing.
Yeah.
But
it does creep in on you because I hurt my back too in the roll, like in the very beginning when I was rolling with Rhett doing my arm bar.
Yeah.
He did stack me, and before I closed it, and I was like, oh man, my back hurts. But it does creep in on you. It's like, hey, I have a legitimate
I have a valid
reason to call it quits right now, and it's acceptable, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, and then but then in your head, so you have that creeping in, like it's like the little angel and devil on your shoulder. But so you have like that pussy creeping in, like you're like, and then in your head you got like, don't be a pussy.
Yeah,
you got this. Like you could do this.
But by the end, like when my ankle and my back and your neck and everything. And then you have to roll with Mark. It's survival mode, but that's what it is. It's a survival mode.
You look, and your last 3 people are me, a world champion,
black belt,
and Roger. Yeah. Like you're like, oh boy, this is. But then you're like, all right, you're almost done though.
Yeah,
almost done. So yeah, I mean, chartings are tough. And then, like, not all places do them. Some places like whip you with belts. And
I got whipped for my blue belt.
Did you?
Yeah.
Which is really a really weird one for me. Like,
Can you explain that? Is that what it sounds like?
Yeah. So what you do is they all make like a tunnel, like on both sides, and you have to put your arms up, and then you walk through, and then everybody takes their belts off, and they whip you with the belt. You can look them up.
Yeah, they're super popular on YouTube. So yeah, check them out. They leave welts. I mean, it's a pretty thick belt. Right?
I think we should bring that back to the morning class, specifically for Drew.
For Drew's first stripe?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. That'd be fun.
He's getting nervous over there. He's starting to sweat.
Yeah. So I asked Jerry about this last episode, and this was kind of fresh off the quintet and whatnot. For us, the next step is obviously, black belt.
Right.
Do you feel like at black belt, you should have to compete good too? Or do you think you can just be good in the gym and not compete or not compete well?
So the thing about black belt and competing is other than white belt, I feel like there's the biggest skill gap at black belt because there's people that just got their black belt and then there's people that have been black belts for 15 years.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference.
Yeah. And
so competing at black belt can be more challenging because you're not saved by the time somebody's been training, if that makes sense. Where, if you're a blue belt, they've been training probably X amount of years, this or that. Same with purple, brown. But at black, I feel like there's a huge skill gap between the average black belt and then people who teach for a living at black belt, and then people who competed in the adult division who are now still competing at black belt. Yeah. So it's to be successful at black belt as a competitor can be more challenging depending upon your age.
Yeah, but do you think being promoted from brown to black, do you think you have to be a good competitor?
You're saying good competitor would be someone who is capable of winning tournaments?
Yeah.
Against other brown belts?
Or anybody.
Yeah. Or
just competitions.
I think that you should be able to handle the pressure of the role and the situation, and that can be shown in competition.
Yeah.
So I'd say that there's other ways to show that skill. Competition is the unquestionable one where that stands out. But if you can go to an open mat at another gym where you know nobody and roll with their black belt instructor who's probably not going to be nice to you and hold your own, I would say that is not an equal representation of handling the stressful situation, but it would be acceptable.
Somewhat equivalent.
Yeah, it would be acceptable.
Yeah. So do you think you have to compete to get to black belt?
I don't think so. And the reason why I say
that
is...
But if you do, you have to be able to compete good.
If you were not to compete, I'd think that I'd want to see you demonstrate the skill sets.
And that's where you think going to open mat would...
I think going to open mats or rolling with people who you're uncomfortable with. I know Roger's big on going to other gyms and rolling with other people, and I think that is very valuable.
Yeah.
I would say I would expect a black belt to do well, and they would demonstrate that skills either by competing, but if they didn't compete, then it would be shown in the gym in a way by maybe it's by rolling with people who they don't roll with and being competitive who are also black belts.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to roll with another black belt and just get ragdolled and be embarrassed. And so I think something that Tom said to me that was really good is, his instructor told him, hey, I can give you the belt, but you have to be the one to defend it.
Yeah.
And so I would say a black belt, you have to be capable of defending that belt.
Yeah, I agree.
So to answer your question, no.
Okay.
What do you think?
I like your idea of the open mat thing and going to other open mats or other gyms and holding your own.
Yeah.
I don't think that being because we're all hobbyists in this room,
Yes.
right? Like we're not going to go compete and win world championships or try to do that.
Yeah.
And I have don't have any plans to do that, or I don't even have any plans to compete again. I competed at the last little thing just to have fun, and I got a wild hair. But I think I'm past the wanting to compete thing. Like I just don't have that switch in me, that competitive drive switch. Like I want to be really good when I do jiu-jitsu and going to other gyms, and even in our class I want to be good. But that's like a different want and desire. Like I just love jiu-jitsu, not necessarily competing. I think they're two different things. So like I don't think so. I think there's plenty of other things you can do to show that your skill set. Part of the competing for me, like, is just the mental barrier and getting like that mental mindset for competition to like, they're all just kind of like friendly roles to me, to where if someone else is like really trying hard, it's just just something like I just don't get in the mental mindset for.
Yeah.
But like I said, obviously I only know what I know. Like I don't know what other people's points of view are, and like what Roger's point of view would be. I asked Jerry, being another black belt, and I'll ask anyone else, but like just to see what their point of view is. Yeah. Just in trying to just kind of figure out like what my next step is, I guess, or what other people think, and not that even matter necessarily what Jerry thinks or what you think. It obviously all depends on what Roger thinks.
Right.
But yeah, who knows? Like I said, I think they're two completely different things, and like I just want to be good in the gym, where I spend all of my time. Like my time's not in the gym to compete, or to get ready to compete. It's just in there to have fun and be a hobby and be as good as I can be at that. Yeah. So I don't know. What else? Do we have anything you wanted to really get into?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything that for this episode, and
All right. So that was episode 2 with Mr. David Garness, Legacy's, I'm still going to assume, newest brown belt. Yeah. Co-instructor of the Legacy Jiu-Jitsu morning class, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 a.m. If you want to find David, he's not on social media or anywhere like that, so you can find him there at 6 a.m. with myself and Mr. Drew McCowan, my favorite home inspector and podcast producer. I am Mark Robinson, Alaska's best grappling realtor, and that was episode 5.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, David. Thanks.